FM 96.7 locally and is heard worldwide on fitfmja.com. Our mission is to amplify diverse voices and opinions, inform, educate, entertain, and engage listeners of all ages and lifestyle while promoting responsible community development. Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Cultural Mix, an exciting radio show identifying and showcasing cultural diversity across the world through music, interviews, and lively discussions. Join Bev Moonchild on Fit FM 96.7, Fridays 6 to 8 p.m. Cultural Mix, everything cultural. Tune in. Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
You've got to give this. I'm standing 10 feet. Fit FM 96.7. Fridays 6 to 8 p.m. Imara said that. Never let the system get you down. No way, no way. Never let it make you wear a frown. Well, you are only one life to live. So your best shot, you've got to give. Yes, I'm standing 10 feet tall. Standing 10 feet tall. 96.7. I'm standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 above them all. Well, things may not be like you want them to be. Yes, so be wise. You got to tread carefully. Well, there may be obstacles in your way. Just remember, Rome wasn't built in one day. I'm standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall. I'm standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 feet tall, standing 10 above them all. Just make sure you keep yourself. Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Some of them are laugh and I take it for a joke. Could better stop them put me happy, tell them the truth. Cook at the family for roast spread fruit. Black outside and white inside. Now some of them are Dutch and some of them are hide. Some are plant the bliss soup in the Great River Clyde. As them sip, so them slide. Watch how them collide. Them a fall out of love through them in a fast pride. Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Me afraid of enemy, me not beg no friend. Warriors arise up, zombie appear. Tease up the wood fire, burn out the crane. We 20 line up with the wing. Straighten up yourself, cause enough of them bend. Nothing to borrow, nothing to lend. Can't run from the words where the Rasta man are saying. We not chat to enemy, so we tell all we friend. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all soon need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all soon need you, maroon.
Moonshine,
We
yeah,
all
you
are
make a
gonna
song
need
the
you,
man, a song the
maroon.
tough.
Somebody
Play it again. We tune in, a Fit FM 96.7. We tune in. Play the tune there again, babe. We love it.
maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Some of them are laugh, and I take it for a joke. Could better stop them, put me happy, tell them the truth. Cook at the family for roast spread fruit. Black outside and white inside. Though some of them are Dutch and some of them are hide.
We all are gonna need them. No, me come like me. I give you a tune one different one different something. I know. Go on. Let me hear it again.
Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon.
With the golden spoon, maroon with the golden spoon.
We all so need you, maroon.
We all are gonna need the maroon. Maroon with the golden spoon.
Maroon
With the golden spoon. We all are gonna need the maroon. We also need the maroon.
Some of them are laugh, and I take it for a joke. Could better stop them, put me happy, tell them the truth. Cook at the family for roast spread fruit. Black outside and white inside. Though some of them are Dutch and some of them are hide. Some are plant the bliss in the Great River Clyde. As them sip, so them slide. Watch how them collide. Them a fall out of love through them in a false pride. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We also need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon.
Maroon with the golden spoon. We all are gonna need the maroon. We also need the maroon. We also need the folks. It is Friday. It is November 12th, and welcome to Fit FM. Welcome to Cultural Mix. Welcome to your Friday evening program. Bev Moonchild is here as your guest, as your host, rather, to take you through this evening. You know, we had the guest earlier on, just a little challenge there, and you soon seem handsome face again. Okay, so we want you to stay with us. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you who are tuned in already, we thank you so much for being here. And we want to say Akwaba. Akwaba to those from the east, Akwaba to those from the west, Akwaba to those from the north, Akwaba to those from the south, Akwaba one and all. We say welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to Cultural Mix. It is your Friday evening program. I am here, of course, Bev Moonchild, as your host to take you through the next 2 hours, basically. and for you to have an awesome Friday evening as we usually do on this here day. The year is coming down nicely. 2021. Anu said to me, Mommy, you realize it's just 2 months and we're into 2022? I said, yes, my dear. And it was just, you could have said last week, we were out of 2020. But time waits on no man, it is said, neither woman, no child, nobody at all. Time does what time has to do. And of course, we have to just work with time. So this evening, we want to welcome everyone for being here. And we want for you, please kindly stay with us for the next 2 hours. We really have an amazing show lined up for you. This evening, we are going to be talking to Yasa Safari. You heard that music earlier, Golden Spoon Maroon. We all are going to need the maroon. We all soon need. So we're going to talk to him about that and several other things as a Rastaman, as an intellectual, as an ambassador for reggae, as an international artist. We're going to be talking to him about all of those. Stay with us for the next 2 hours. We are happy that you're here, and we want for you to just hail us, hail out everybody. Tell us where you're joining from so we can hail you up also. So just tell us where you're joining from, those of you who are on with us already. We want to welcome those persons who are joining from Manchester, those who are joining from St. Elizabeth, those who are joining from St. Anne, those who are joining from St. James, those who are joining from Hanover, Westmoreland, wherever you're joining from, as a matter of fact, we hail you up and we say, give thanks for being here. We thank you so much. This evening, we're going to be having a show like no other show last week. We want to say thanks for those kings who joined us in studio. Mr. DJ Snow and Scuffler and Imara later joined the team. What a show it was. Fit FM just broke out into a live show last week and really, really we enjoyed it. Show was really nice and full of vibe. And that is what we do. Sometimes we'll have it live in studio and sometimes we'll talk to our guests online. You can see them nonetheless because we go StreamYard. Right. Facebook, so you can, yes, you and Facebook Live, YouTube. So join us on YouTube, those of you. If it's a Facebook kind of, stopping and starting, just hop over to YouTube and you will catch us in action right there. We're also on Instagram and we want for you to just keep with Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music. Want to big up everybody, all my friends who continue to support the program and to tune in and to share. At this time, we're going to be saying to all of you who are on already to just share this live that is there now. Share with your friends, share with your families. Tell them to come over and listen on for Cultural Mix this evening. We're going to be talking to international poet Yasa Safari. He'll be with us. He was on, but there are challenges, the vagaries of the system. So Keisha is on with my name, of course, Edwards. So we consider ourselves sisters. Because once a Edwards, always a Edwards, right, Keisha? And Keisha is in Toronto, and she's saying, Toronto in the house. Hail up, my sister. Thank you for being with us. So wherever you're joining from, just let us know where you are joining from, and we'll be happy to give you a shout out, right? Because we need the support and we also need the feedback. It's a feedback that helps us to improve what we do. It is a feedback that gives us that kind of energy that we want. So talk back with us. It's an interactive program, Cultural Mix. We do interviews, we play music, and some people just come for the music, right? So stay for the music, stay for the laughter, stay for the discussion. And this evening, we are going to be having a wonderful discussion with Yasa Safari. Just sorting out a little thing there. Thanks. Right back to you. Yes, Keisha. We are, of course, calling Orange Smith. She is joining from big up yourself, Yasus. Plain and simple. I am from Amity, Westmoreland. Thank you. Okay, so we have somebody from Westmoreland in the house, and bigging up Yasus, calling Orange Smith. Big up to you yourself, Yasus. Plain and simple. That's another one that we're going to be talking to Yasus about. Plain and simple. And we always say in Jamaican, Plain and simple. That is when the point is just so plain and simple. So that's another thing we're going to be talking to Yasis about. So welcome, Yasis Safari. Well, mix, and welcome to Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Are you hearing us, Yasis? Oh, he doesn't seem to be hearing us at all. Something is happening. We'll soon sort it out. But he's on. So let us see how we're going to work this one out. Yasis, are you hearing us? He doesn't seem to be hearing us at all. But we are ready for him, and we soon sort that out. That's how it is. Sending him a message there to see if he's hooked up and all and ready for us, because we are ready for him. It is Cultural Mix, your Friday evening program. I am Bev Moonchild, your host, and we want to take you through nicely and smoothly this Friday evening. What a whole thing are going on in Jamaica. Jamaica is a movie series. Every day it is something else. If it's not one thing, it's the other. And yes, is you hearing? Greetings, my brother. You hearing us? Yeah, we not hear you at all. Yesus? Greetings, Yesus. Let him know that we're trying to talk with him. So Levine, Gray, Brown, Culture Evening all. So thank you, Levine. Levine, where are you joining us from? Carleen is joining us from Westmoreland. Levine, tell us where you are joining from. Culture Evening to all. We are saying a Culture Evening to you too. And thanks, of course, for being here with us. Quickly before until Yasu sort himself out. This is Cultural Mix, right? So we're going to talk about things all the time, culture and heritage and so on. So he's not hearing us. Oh, you are hearing him? But me not hear him.
Bless.
Yes, hearing you now. Hearing you now, Yasus. Are you hearing us? Greetings and blessings, Jericho. Jericho is joining us. Where are you joining us from, Jericho? Yasus, are you hearing us? I'm hearing some sounds coming in from your background, so we don't know what is happening here. But hopefully that will be sorted out soon, so we can just go right into our discussion. I'm hearing some little sounds there, but I'm not hearing him. Greetings and blessings. So I'm just responding to persons who are hailing us up here on Facebook. Oberlin is joining us. Good evening. Tell us out there, those of you who are joining us Facebook Live, if you are hearing us. Tell us if you are hearing. Jericho is joining from USA, Boston. So he must have heard to say he's joining from Boston.
Rastafari lives.
Blessings, Yasus, are you hearing us now? Greetings and blessings. Love. Plain and simple. Yes, Jericho is hearing us, and he's in the US, so everybody's hearing. It's just that thing we need to clear up. Hearing loud and clear. Thank you, Oberlin, for that that feedback. So those persons who are joining us are hearing, but our guests seem not to be hearing us at all. But we are hearing everything else in the background. Me hear Pana drop, me hear this happen, but me not hear the guests at all. We soon have to work that out. Yes, are you hearing us? Because we are hearing lots of noise in your background, but we're just not hearing your mic at all. We not hear you. We have to work this one out and work it out quickly. Just bear with us. In the meantime, though, I was telling you that I heard, I don't even remember the name that she gave me, but when you make your cornmeal pudding or your potato pudding and that like a soft part that is on the top, we want to call it, people, in Jamaica? Because me know it as flan, the little soft, nice part, fluffy, nice creamy part on top. People put coconut oil or coconut the milk from the coconut, and a nice little thing is formed on top. Or people look like they make, I don't know how it is made, but it's just nice stuff, especially when the pudding is warm and nice. We call it flan. What do you call it? Oh, slush. So Tavia said it is called slush. Oberlin call it slush too. So where me get this flan story? And I heard somebody told me today another name. I forget the name. I should have written it down. But tell me what you call it in your neck of the woods. That little soft part on the pudding, whether it is potato pudding or cornmeal pudding, that soft part there on the top. What do you call it? Flan? Nobody else call it Jericho. I know it has a cream. You live in a USA, man, so I don't have the name for it. But the cream, yes. Slush. So 2 people say slush so far. And me not hear nobody say flan yet. So let me see if I may alone know it as flan. Yes, are you hearing us now? Are you hearing us, Yasus? So something is not working out here. Telma Gomez. Thank you, Telma, for joining us. And she's hearing us loud and clear from Massachusetts. So tell me, Telma, what you call this nice part, fluffy nice part on top of the pudding? Whether it is cornmeal pudding or it is potato pudding, what you call it? We call it well, how much Keisha says she know it as slush too? Nobody if it's a flan. Tell me what you know it as, Telma. Or whatever something is named flan. Me don't know. Me don't buy flan. We call that part. So tell me what you call it, Telma. Telma Gomez. Tell me, because the Jamaicans have a name, and maybe all the other parishes have a different name for it. So in a Clarendon, flan. Flan was a fry up fritters. Flitters, yes. Flan is a fry up fritters. Okay. Okay, Tavia. Flan is a fry up. So let's try this again. Yes, are you hearing us? Obviously, he's not hearing us at all, but we're hearing all the other stuff behind him in his background. I don't know what is happening, what is causing that kind of thing. Tell him to probably plug out some other thing and just start directly into the computer or the phone or whatever he's joining us on. Because we are hearing the stuff in the background, but we're just not hearing him. So his mic on his device seemed to be right. So slush for Mitzi Curry. Telma, you call it slush too? Well, Tavia is correcting me, say is the flan was the fry up flitters. Me wonder, Tavia, if I really saw. So when we get this flan up on top of the pudding, me don't know. Let me see if anybody else going to say them know it as flan. But nobody else seems to know it as flan. Everybody say slush. So make we see if I am alone with my flan story. Right? But thank you all for responding. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you. What happened right here? We're gonna listen to Golden Spoon again from Yasser Safari and just sort this out quickly and come right back. Yes, Golden Spoon from Yasser Safari.
Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Some of them are laugh and I take it for a joke. Could make us stop them poke me happy, tell them the truth. Cook at the family for roast bread fruit. Black outside and white inside. Though some of them are dodge and some of them are hide. Some are plant devil soup in the great river Clyde. As them slip, so them slide. Watch how them collide. Them a fall out of love through them in a fast pride. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Me no afraid of enemy, me no beg no friend. Warriors arise up, zombie happy. Piece up the wood fire, burn out the crane. We twang line up with the wing. Straighten up yourself, cause enough of them bend. Nothing to borrow, nothing to lend. Can't run from the words where the Rasta man are saying. We not chat to enemy, so we tell all we friend. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Some of them a laugh and take it be a joke. Could better stop me and poke me up. Me tell them the truth. Poke at the family of the roast red fruit. Black outside and white inside. Some of them are dark and some of them are hide. Some are plant devil soup in the great river Clyde. Them a slip, them a slide. Watch how them collide. Them fall out of love, chew them in a fast pride. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. Hey, we all are gonna need you, maroon. I'm afraid of enemy, I mean a big no friend. Maroon them a rise and zombie a bend. Please up the wood fire, burn out the crane. We twang link up with we when. Straighten up yourself, cause enough of them bend. Nothing to borrow, nothing to lend. Can't run from the words of Rastafari said. We not chat to enemy, so we want all we friend. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. Maroon, maroon with the golden spoon. We all so need you, maroon. We all are gonna need you, maroon. Some of them are laugh and I take it for a joke. Could better stop them poke me happy. Tell them the truth.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. It's Cultural Mix, and we are here on this here Friday evening. Bev Moonchild is here as your host for this here Friday evening show. Are you hearing us now, Jesus?
Loud and clear. Are you hearing me?
You know how long we want you to hear we?
Yeah, me I say, cause me see how the lip movement and a rock and me not hear not a word in English.
Yes, man. We are rock to maroon
Yeah.
with the golden spoon. We also need you, maroon.
Oh, you know, so
Me a girl.
like day before yesterday.
We all are gonna need the maroon. So,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us, Yasis, and for agreeing to talk with us this evening. So, welcome to Fit FM and welcome to Cultural Mix.
Thanks for having me. It's my absolute pleasure, and welcome to your fit and cultural mix listeners, far and
Yes,
wide.
yes, man. Yes, good to have you. How has things been?
I mean, yeah, we are living in a pandemic, plandemic, scamdemic, whichever the above you choose or a combination thereof. Doesn't really matter. We have a global crisis.
Yes.
However, because we are some youth, we never really trust Babylon from morning. We don't really put we trust and invest with trust in the system. So we are critical thinkers, and so we fully anticipate certain maneuvers that have been happening and that are happening and will continue to happen. So we're ready for them. And that's why if I tell you when I wrote that song, Golden Spoon Maroon, you there tell him, say, I lie, me, I tell.
Tell
We,
me.
all right. The first four bars were written when I was attending the College of Art, Science and Technology. So
I lie, I tell.
those you see, same thing, me, I tell you. Those first 8 bars were written close to 40 years ago.
What? This is amazing.
And then now it even get more amazing. When I wrote those 4 lines, it just book and stuck. And the book and stuck for nearly 40 years. And maybe my mind or something I said to me, say, when the time is right.
So what unstuck you?
Hold on now. As me I said to you, what unstuck me is the right time. You know, and this is what I said to you. The vibe said to me from nearly 40 years ago, you know, when I was at cast. When the time is right. So sometimes I question the time and I say, boy, this a time take long to write, boy, and I know me write this and not another word in English and we never yet record it, never yet perform it, I hardly talk about it. A few years ago, I saw the piece of paper that it was written on. I mean, look at the paper and I smile and I say, Rockstone, and I don't like the Bible. So when the time is right, anyway, in July, a label from in the United States called Top Road Music, they sent me a rhythm. I was busy producing and organizing Jamaica Poetry Festival, so I wasn't fully focused on that. And then one day something said to me, it's music, you know. So take some time out and listen to this rhythm. I'm going to stop everything I'm do and turn on the rhythm. And 1 minute into it, the 8 bars come back to me, and the 8 bars, they summon up the rest of the bars there.
The
And
time was right.
within days it was recorded, and 2 days after I recorded it in the studio, I heard one of the Maroon leaders put out a hashtag name, Song the Abeng, and a line in the song goes, firstly, the Maroon them rise and song the Abeng, and in the next cycle, it said, Maroon them rise and song the Abeng. So since then, even before it was released, I'm getting links from Maroon and indigenous communities, which I always keep a close tab with the indigenous First Nations, sovereign nations of the earth still. But nevertheless, I start getting links from the British Virgin Islands, Suriname, the Royal Maroon family in Ghana. It's almost surreal, you know what I mean? So the time is right.
The time is right. In that moment when all the other lines and so on and started coming back to you, how was that feeling?
It's hard, a good question, you know, but it's hard to explain. You know, when you're witnessing divine ordinance in front of naked eyes, you call it almost deja vu, synchronicity, when things just gather and just reaffirm. So you're confident that you weren't going crazy or you weren't being something to think that when the time is right, and the time just never right for nearly 40 years. And so all of a sudden like that, bam, the time is right and everything come together so effortless. One way I could describe the feeling and the experience, it was like the vibration was heavy like lead, but lighter than feather. You
Heavy
read
like
that?
lead. But yes. What it does, it has caused me now to understand, and for other people too, that we don't understand time. And because we oftentimes put a cap on time to say 2 years pass and it not come to me, like you want to put it to rest now. In this case, it is 40 years. If you were not of that view that, listen, the time just not come yet, maybe you would have given up on this kind of this work here. So it is reminding myself and others that we can't put a cap on time.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, sis, because you see where my heavens then on? There is no time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even the time, when the time is right, it's not the calendar time or the linear time or the biological time or the clock time or dispensational time. Is the synchronicity, is the harmony with the invisible that is ready to be born into the visible.
Yeah.
It is the moment when the heaven decide to turn up in the earth, or when the earth decide to turn up in the heavens. It's when the below harmonize and marry with the above and the below and within and without. So our thing is that we were before the notion of time. You know what I mean? I and I are from the groundation of prior manifestation. You with me? Because remember that. Yeah, so you're right. And so this reaffirm those kind of notion and stand testimony and witness to that reality. You know what I mean? I say, so we don't have to worry, so we don't have to stress out to say I get anxious about anything. Since you said that, the whole idea is really to go within the cockpit, listen me carefully, to go within the cockpit, because there are a lot of Trojan horses being planted about. Even in the physical cockpit country here in Jamaica as it relates to the Maroon. And also in the cockpit of your mind, in the cockpit of your soul. Just like if you go on an aircraft and a different person than the designated pilot is in the cockpit, you have a problem. You have a hijack. No, we are hijacked. We are hijacked by the transatlantic genocide, the gang rape of Mama Africa. And not just Mama Africa, but most, if not all, of the indigenous First Nations, sovereign nations of our planet.
You talk about First Nations and sovereign nations and the rape of Mama Africa. We see, especially in this time, where persons' sovereignty, persons' autonomy is kind of, I would want to say, being snatched from people. And the dictates of others overriding your own person and your own autonomy. How do we stand our ground? How do the First Nations, how do the people of the world stand up? What do you say to people, especially in this time?
It's plain and simple, no? And it's the title of a song. It is the title of a song when me and my 8-year-old at the time, she became 9 now. Me and my 9-year-old daughter stand up and voice our position on that issue. However, having said that, we have to recognize that if the 1 cent don't have a value, the $5,000 bill don't have a value. And so therefore, we have to speak, even within the context of national sovereignty, we have to speak to the notion of individual sovereignty. In a similar way, we speak to the individual value of the 1 cent so that we can reconcile the value of the $5,000 bill. So it is that any nation that considers itself a sovereign nation must recognize and value the sovereignty of the individuals. And so that happens both at individuals, that happens to autonomous communities, nations, any treaty among nations, and then to the global community. And so we are saying to people, you must assert your individual sovereignty within the context of the national and global sovereignty. And so certainly you have to imprison your selfish impulses so that at least it can be in harmony with the collectivity in the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. But having said that, you have to retain and maintain your individuality. Because remember, if the 1 cent don't have a value, $5,000 bill don't have a value, so if the individual don't have a value, don't have a definition, don't have a character, don't have a credibility, don't have a value, then therefore the nation won't have a value by extension. So I'm saying to people, you have to assert, you have to be aware of it, and then you have to claim it, and you have to assert it, And then with all resources at your disposal, you have to dispense with the attendant responsibility and obligations of that individual sovereignty, and let that play its role in the national, regional, and international sovereignty and autonomy of man, woman, and children.
It's interesting that you say that, Yasus, because especially in this time, I see groups of persons trying to come together and to say, listen, we are going to be putting forward to government. And when I talk about government, I mean governments across the world. I see people in Canada doing it, people in Australia doing it, trying to come together as a group to show their sovereignty as a group and to make representation as a group. There are individuals, however, who don't belong to no group, they don't belong to an organization, but I hear you say your individual sovereignty. And understanding that if the $1 don't have a value, the $5,000 don't have a value. You think us as people here in Jamaica understand that depth to which you went just now?
Well, it is a depth or height or width. We don't think that a lot of people, fully countenance and comprehend that, and that is by design. And we can't be totally impatient with the people because, though we're not looking at an excuse, we are a people who have been systematically and deliberately deconstructed. Let me just take time out and explain something to you. If you look at the word colonization, it comes from the root word colon. And if you look at the etymology and the history of that word, it literally means to vampirize a people and reduce them to feces as a conquest of war.
The moment you mention colon, we know where you're going.
So essentially, so we are coming from that bottom, that rock bottom, no pun intended. We are coming from that rock bottom. So we are a people who have been crucified on the international cross of slavery and colonialism and buried into the sepulchre of death and captivity, yet we refuse to die. And hold on a moment, and the tomb refused to be a habitation for us. So the tomb transformed into a womb and gave birth to I and I, the only authentic and holistic and indigenous response to that genocidal crucifixion and colonization. So it is our duty, individually and collectively, to breed new thoughts, new perspective, new hope into the temple of the family of humanity. And that is the charge we have, even with Golden Spoon, Maroon, and Plain and Simple.
Yes, it is going to take a lot of effort because you mentioned over time we have been vampirized and so on, and it has almost become the norm now. So when you kind of speak in a different perspective, in a different way, I'm going to tell you, it's not that I know it is difficult for a lot of people to understand exactly what it is that you are saying, because it is a deliberate effort to kind of, from the beginning, to make people don't understand what is happening. And so when we talk this kind of way, it go over some people's head. So it's going to take a lot for us to make the people rise up. And as you say, we're not really in the tomb, but it is my view that some people need to be risen.
Yeah, it's a process, remember, so we never born the same day, and we have different modalities in terms of our development, you know what I mean? So I think patience is a virtue. You don't have to be a snail, you don't have to be a Usain Bolt, but set your own pace, you know what I mean? So listen, there's nothing to be too anxious about. There's no time, don't forget that. And the idea, remember, so life is cyclic, so was in the beginning, so shall it be the end. Yesterday, today was tomorrow, and tomorrow, today becomes yesterday. So that which was is that which is, and that which is to be. So we don't need to be unduly anxious, we just have to be ourselves, know ourselves and be ourselves, and that's it. I mean, that's good enough, because here this now, the twinkling of an eye, everything can change, Remember, say, energy cannot be created and cannot be destroyed, but can be transformed from one state of existence to the next. I remember, say, nothing is the unqualified state of everything, and say everything is simply a qualification of nothing. So it's not about even material possession or them thing the way you think that you're secure. It's your spiritual reality, knowing that you're immortal, untouchable, indestructible. And so even in the song Golden Spoon Maroon, we asserted that blaze up the fire, burn out the crane. So if somebody a crank them, they play them role. And I be the crank. We need the crank as well. And the crank are often expended quickly. But they have played a role. And they last good, them last longer and keep distance. They have a role as well. So, you know what I mean? More said to the grassroots people, and so oftentimes the big old so-called educated dons them, you know, them take it harder and overstand them things. You find some people who can hardly read and write, overstand them things better because it's in them DNA, you know. All we have to do is just sound their bang man and revitalize.
Those minds are not trained in a particular way, so they will overstand easier than the educated ones who are actually trained.
Listen, one at a time, Peter taught you know, reggae music is not so much a listening or a hearing music, it's a feelings music. You know, so I know what I must say. We are some people where although we not talk about it like that, we are intuitive, we are inspirational people. We maybe say we are vibes people. Remember, so our grandparents them and our elders them used to say, "My spirit not take him," "My spirit take him." "My mind run by you yesterday, somebody didn't know say yeah come." They are speaking to telepathy and intuition. You know what I mean? And so we know who have access to those resources and those information. We have a duty. I mean, look at Marcus Mosiah Garvey, which never got a tertiary institution, and is one of, if not the greatest philosopher of the 20th century. You know what I mean? So we don't have to worry ourselves.
It is no doubt you are referred to as a philosopher. I just want to share with you some persons here on Facebook. Mitzi, Dr. Asha Haleup, Tamar Case Dixon is hailing you, and Christine Reynolds. She was sharing something earlier when you spoke about the 40 years before the other parts of the song come. She said, I can understand 3 decades passed before my stirrings about my father started. The time before now wasn't right. So she is agreeing with you. Jericho is saying spiritual hijacking. He was referencing you spoke about earlier. Christine, I concur. So these are persons. Christine is in New York. Jericho is in America. Dana also, Mandison, she is in New York, I think. And she's speaking about the depth of your reasoning. She's saying heights. Heights indeed. Yes, I acknowledge. The people must be blinded and subdued in order for the power to be maintained. And most people fight the truth because it is scary. It can be suffocating to learn that reality is unreal. I recall the moments I learned certain things. So these are persons who are agreeing with you because the highly educated are programmed. That's Jericho. So people are actually agreeing. Truth, yes, Safari, that is Donna Love, and Donna also is in the USA. So people are understanding or overstanding the reasoning here this evening on Cultural Mix. We're going to talk about
just a moment, sister. I can't miss the opportunity to thank those people for the feed forward and to reaffirming that our people are being, you know, uplifted and the awareness is building, and we don't have to be unduly anxious and we don't have to be unduly slow. They set your own pace, man, and do what you have to do, fulfill your purpose, control your own destiny, your own resources, tell your own story, tell your own narrative, fulfill your own purpose, and I make no like a guy. Because the world is being run by a club and gang of gangsters and mobsters and criminals and crooks. So we can't make them violate the temple.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple. You understand what I say? So right now we have to just control the cockpit. The cockpit at the center of your being, you know. The center of your being is in your forehead, you know. Because the other half of you is invisible. Remember, we are spirits having physical experiences. And so it is not by accident that these two places are called temples, you know. It is not by accident that these two places are called temples. And even when you refer to overstanding, we have a book named Overstanding Rastafari. It's deliberate because the language and the programming that have visited our people is actually neuro-linguistic sorcery. Because words are spirit, you know. So it's a spirit and demonic possession take place, you know. We have to exorcise the spell, that evil spell that Bob Marley alluded to in song. And repossess ourselves with the spirit of righteousness and truth and love and all of that are come out of the womb and create like Mama Africa. You know what I say? So we have to look outside ourselves, you know. How we have all the answers and solutions to all the challenges that face us. They want to take us outside ourselves, you lose focus, but we must just keep focus, make the food them cuss.
We're gonna play Plain and Simple, and then we'll come right back. It's Cultural Mix, folks, and we're talking with the philosopher himself, Yasser Safari.
Can't violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh no, no, go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. You could have screwed till you blue and wrinkle, or smile till you smile for your dimple. Oh no, no, go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh no, no, go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Evil doers come with long nigger, searching for the strong and evil. But the humility and no simplicity, and we people never take no more brutality. The Almighty guide and protect we, so make we lead out the redemption army. Burn down Babylon this 21st century with them hypocrisy and them idolatry, contaminating for we humanity. Oh, look, can't violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. You could have screwed till you blue and ring.
Left Moonchild, I hear me. That song the bad, that song the tough. Play it again, play it again. We tune in, a Fitch FM 96.7. We tune in. Play that tune there again, Beth. We love it.
Oh, no, can't violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. You could have screwed till you blue and wrinkle, or smile till you smile for your dimple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple.
This is Fit FM 96.7. Duncan's Trelawney.
Searching for the strong and evil, but the humility and no simplicity, and we people never take no more brutality. The Almighty guide and protect we, so make we lead out the redemption army. Burn down Babylon this 21st century with them hypocrisy and them idolatry, contaminating for we humanity. Oh, look, can't violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. You could have screwed till you blue and wrinkle, or smile till you smile for your dimple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. The whole world so blinking twisted, polluted, corrupted, and schizophrenic. Just start defending the national morality. Go make you rush them and gang them and conquer them. Conquering lions, so you know we got sent. Season and spice in the idol them. Rise and shine again and again, Mama Africa. Right here and now, don't ask the way. Oh. You can't violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. Oh, no, now go violate for me temple. Let me tell you that plain and simple. You could have screwed till you
Plain and simple, yes, plain and simple. We now make them violate for the temple.
No.
Where did that one come from?
Eh?
Where that one come from? What was the inspiration? What was the vibe? What was the...
Yeah, the headspace. Well, me in the hills one night about 11:30, in a whole of meds, and I map out what go on, past, present, and future, especially the now. Because the now is the culmination of the past and the future. You know? So, you know, we have pre-war go on, and honestly, that vibe they just come to me say, you can't violate for a temple, you know, up for debate. You know, I mean, you know, it put away your money, put away your land, your house, your car, your job, your visa, put away heaven and earth, put away the sun, moon, and star. I mean, it's just not up for debate. You know what I mean? So, you know, so it was, and we just, maybe, you know, the next line, once we decide, say, you know, that's what it is. There's no violation. We're not interested to violate anyone, and we certainly, by all means necessary, won't be violated. And at the same time, no, it's plain and simple. I mean, you could almost stop this up, but you just want to explain it a little bit more because, I mean, it's not up for debate really. So we just expound and we say you could have screw. So from one extreme to the next, you could have screw like you want to intimidate you with a little screw face and your red. That now gonna work. And if you come and try to seduce you with your keen teeth like a dead dog, that now gonna work. You know what I mean? I say, and if you come with any measure in between, it's still now gonna work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we say, evildoers come with long needle. Long needle is a metaphor. If you look at the music video, it's a mosquito did so. So some people want to point fingers and tell me when me I said it so, but no matter what kind of method of an instrument of evil you come with, it now go work. And we people now take no brutality, and we guide and protect by the Almighty. So a time for we roll out the redemption army. And since Babylon violate Mama Africa and now redeem itself and violate the indigenous people of the earth, we could start all over again by burn down Babylon metaphorically and systematically. Because we need systemic changes, you know what I mean? It can't continue. Yes. And we now go back to the normal, because the normal that was before this disruption is not a good normal. So we want, you know.
I don't think it was normal.
Well, it wasn't normal, but you know, everything is relative, is context. And so we want to do something which is an honorable marriage between the best of ancient tradition with the very best of contemporary dictates. So that, because life is experiential, you know. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, you know what I mean, you just have to use universal fundamental laws and principles to address and redress and to cultivate your reality that works according to your character, personality, history, aspirations, and nature. You know what I mean?
You mentioned something before we went to plain and simple, and I want to go back to that. The cockpit being the center of your being, and I'm thinking about the cockpit country now, how important that cockpit country is to Jamaica. And when violation is allowed to take place in the cockpit country, that physical space in Jamaica, when that is allowed to happen, how do you connect that to our being our cockpit, our center? If we allow one to happen, what will happen to the next? If you understand what I mean.
You come like you just with me, I try to say no in that song there, and in a way me just say in a plain and simple, because look, you know. I'm gonna say this now. Remember, you know, first of all, let's go use borrow from the Bible then. And we could borrow from physics book or anything, but we could borrow from the Bible. In St. John 1 verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word took on flesh and dwelt among man. That to me is interesting, because up to now the Word not really no color, and you can't really touch it with your hand, and you can't see it with the naked eye, but you can hear it with the naked ears when it is spoken. But the Word was before it was even spoken. The Word was when it was in the thought. You know what I mean? So in our sense now, you know, we are spirit beings that wear the garment of flesh. And so, as I was saying to you earlier, one half of us is invisible and the other half is visible. When you see the Holy Trinity like this, you know, remember I say it's two triangles you superimpose. And matter exists in three fundamental forms: solid, liquid, and gas. But if you notice, one triangle, the base of it is in the earth. The other triangle, the base of it is above. So when they are superimposed and you balance and harmonize, is when heaven come to earth. Yeah, when you balance the spiritual with the physical. Okay, so the right here so is the center between the physical and the spiritual. So that is the seat of the soul, where the God and Goddess live among the temple, within the temple. Because the two pillars of the temple are on either side of your head. So if you run a straight line from one temple to the next temple, and you run another straight line from this other column to the one at the back of your head, where they intersect is the melanin temple, which is the solar temple, which is the soul, which is the God particle, which is the yin, which is the black box of the human being, similar to the black box of the aircraft. So in that black box, You have the yin-yang principle, the male-female principle, the sun-moon principle. And so that is the cockpit of the human being. Okay. No, it is a melanin temple. No. Remember, I said that Mama Africa was gang raped, by Europe and them fellow crooks around the earth, So therefore, that was incestuous, sacrilegious, and diabolic based on who she is as a sacred woman. Okay. Now, her children were reduced to chattels, and we know what chattel means from even the dictionary definition. And so that was the first violation and disruption and displacement from within the cockpit. So the colonization is a Trojan horse, and neo-colonization is a Trojan horse, and independence, which allow us to be independent after nearly 60 years, is also a Trojan horse. So we have to take out the Trojan horse, like in the Greek mythology.
So how can you refer to independence as a Trojan horse when independence is hailed as a good thing for Jamaica?
Then the people them that used to hail Hitler. So in a business where you want to hail or why you want to hail. If you hail folly, that's folly, and if you hail the right, or just the right. You cannot hail independence unless only hailing independencing. Because the Queen of England is the head of state of Jamaica, and the Queen of England is maintaining the institution that is responsible for the gang rape of Mama Africa and the transatlantic genocide and the neo-colonial genocide, which is sustained for hundreds of years. So we are telling us. Them abandon if you go down at the Institute of Jamaica, there's one emancipation drum down there. Them about the other 13, While you know that, that is not only symbolic, That is indicative of our reality. So even when them so-called merges independence with emancipendence, it's an emancipendence fiasco to divert you from the total emancipation and total liberation. That is why the University of the West Indies is not decolonized. It's only 2019 that they remove the visitor to a Queen's Council who's a Barbadian. 2019.
How much different? What's the difference? Because we're Queen's Council and removing and replacing the visitor with Queen's Council, that is just trickery as far as I'm concerned.
But my sister, listen, when I say to you, at the same thing, I say the same thing, I sing off at the same page, because when I try to say to you is it Trojan horse, just like how independence is a trickery. Them trickery at emancipation, if you took at the edict of emancipation, then trickery of independence, then trickery of Mandela in South Africa. Then trickery with the so-called two-party democracy, and it is only abundantly clear, especially since last year, that we are into a global state of democratic dictatorship. Yeah,
democratic dictatorship. Look at that.
Well, if you overstand,
go over clearly.
May I show you something now? So, what we need for do, for example, we retain the Queen as the head of state. We replace Henry Morgan, the pirate, and the buccaneer with the Governor General. We retain the Queen as the visitor. Then we switch her for one Queen's Council. And if you know how they think they come about, you know exactly what that be.
It's Queen's Council now. That's still the Queen. It's the Queen's Council.
Yeah, so we still them. It's a convenient pretext, to hide this color-born genocidal machinery and system. So if we can't see through them things, then we are going to stay blind. What we need to do is rip off the bogus badge, like when Virgin Louis culture said. You understand what I say? And deal with the thing. So in other words, the Trojan horse is the false badge, if you understand the mythology and the analogy we are drawing now. So we used to them man, they are doing a cockpit country, The cockpit country is not a normal place. And when you see them go for the cockpit country, as I said to you earlier, is similar to when one go hijack the pilot in the cockpit of the aircraft.
Yes.
It's just like how them hijack the cockpit country, which is the black box of the human being.
Yes.
And listen to me now. You can have a brand new battery in your vehicle now, and you can't access the current in there, or the electricity. You know why? Because the terminal can be corroded.
Yes.
The melanin temple is a solar battery, SOULAR. When ancient people used to warm the sun at morning time. And so you can't warm the sun, is the sun warm you. What they were actually doing is charging the solar battery, which is the melanin temple which you are talking about. And so, when I said to you what we have to do now, so all right.
So hold on, yes, because
don't move, please. Don't let me lose that thought. Let me just wrap it in 30 seconds. What
Yes.
happened now when they use calcium fluoride and sodium fluoride, religion and blood and starch to contaminate the terminal battery of the solar temple to make the Almighty God and Goddess inaccessible and uninhabitable within the human being. And like what they do with the mining people in the cockpit country, we have to flush out the Trojan horse.
Right. No, I just want to back up what you're saying, because when the old people them used to say, get up a morning time and go warm sun. Get up a morning time and make the sun soak through your body. The older people lie down in them bed when sun come up. They might tell everybody, come out and go warm sun and make sun warm you. I am just pinning that now to the fact that them couldn't explain it the way you are explaining it. That is for the solar, the warming up of the center and the battery and so on. Them couldn't did explain it, but them did just know say you have to get sun in your body to move forward in that day.
Maybe some didn't explain it, especially intermediaries, you know what I mean? But the ancient the people before our mother and grandmother, them didn't know exactly where them are do. But remember, so when they find a plantation, we are very familiar traitor to the thing, you know. So sometimes even how them use the parable is really loading us with some gems, you know, some essence and some nectar. And so sometimes when a man use parable upon you, you know, him just drop the word upon you and go and let you, because if him stay till you unscramble the parable, maybe he want to fight you. So you know what I say? so you see what happened now is that when you look at the science of it too, you know, the first 3 hours of the sunlight is non-radioactive, you know. So it is not by accident that these things happen. And what it does is decalcify the melanin temple so that you can access the electricity, like how you just scrape off the little rust off of the terminal battery.
Yes.
That is what certain prayers does that. Alkaline food, meditation, ganja is one. But then again, thanks to the University of the West Indies and the government of Jamaica in cooperation with the government of Israel, they have hijacked Jamaica to make Jamaica be a manufacturing and transshipment plant for genetically modified ganja to render the melanin temple uninhabitable and inaccessible. And enough Rastafari are victim to that strategy and that trickery too. I mean, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Hold on. I could deal with it bit by bit. So we're talking about the first 3 hours of the sun, where you say would decalcify the corrosion on the battery.
Make we keep it, babe, sorry if I cut you. Make we keep it simple. That day, something they come in like how when you clean off your mirror so that you can get a better reflection.
May I come down? And you say prayer do that too, and ganja do that too. How ganja does it? Not the ganja now we know, the ganja that you speak of. Not the one that you're thanking Israel and the University of the West Indies for.
Right. Well, what am I call this now? You understand even the very basics of thermodynamics?
Yes.
Thermodynamics. Okay. Let me find another way to explain it. You understand what is nuclear fission? Even if you ask you any question, let me just explain what is nuclear fission. Okay. So the basic unit of any existence is the atom. Basically, I mean, the atom consists of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons speak to the male-female element again, the yin-yang element, the plus-minus, the sun-moon reality. The electrons revolve around the center, emanate from the protons and neutrons, so it emanate from the father and the mother. So what happens is that we are powered by nuclear energy, and even sexual intercourse is nuclear bombardment. If I want never study the basic of physics and quantum, maybe they might go struggle or so. But it's hard to understand, because if you look at the oscillator that they have in the experiment, it's not dissimilar to the act of procreation. We don't have to be too explicit here, but we know that we are an idiot. So if you look at that, you know, that is nuclear bombardment. If you see when the thing from the masculine meet the thing from the feminine, if you look at it under the microscope, it gash, you know, fire literally gash, you know. That's
really?
a big bang theory. Of course, I'm telling you, do the research. Take it to that grain of salt now, but you can do the research. And so what I'm saying to you, that's nuclear physics, that's electrolysis, that metamorphosis. A whole bunch of things happen right in that chamber. All right. Now what I'm saying to you now, is that the nuclear reactor is again the melanin temple. So what ganja does, ganja fire up the nuclear reactor.
Oh yeah.
And then if you read them, I say, some cultures just refer to it as the red nucleus, and it's not by accident that happens. And some people refer to it as the fire nucleus. Some people refer to it as the pineal gland, as the iophorus, as the pine cone. But it is, I have news for them, the third ear, the third lip, and the third eye.
Everything. Yes, Safari, you carry away at school. Just giving you a few other feedback here from people who are listening. True, I hear everyone saying they want things to return to normal. I'm like, why? I think she's referring to when we're talking about normal. The two triangular forms the Merkaba, the seat of the soul. That's Donna Love.
Thank you, Donna Love.
Yes. It's not true. It's not independence at all. Dana Mandison. Sham independence. That's Donna again. If you have to rely on other countries for your sustenance, you are in bondage. That's another feedback there. One coin, two faces. Still the same coin. Democratic dictator. Hijack the pilot. Lovely metaphor. That's Tamar Case Dixon here. Perfect imagery. And so people are just concurring with what you're saying, Yasus, and them their class. Their class, go through Yasus. People are wanting, and people, we are electrically charged, said Donna Love. So people are just liking what you're saying. Yeah, man, Donna Love, yeah. These will just make you stop work and just listen, because she's
Donna love the palm point, man. Donna love the palm point. Because look here now, in harmony with what Donna Love is saying and has been saying, don't forget, that you have the left hand and the right hand. So I hope nobody has told me for this, but I still have to say it. Because even in the male, there are feminine attributes, and in the female, there are masculine attributes. And so that is why sometimes you have to rebalance the hormonal excesses and imbalances to assert autonomy and vitality. That as it may, and having said that, you have the left and the right hand. That speaks to the north and the south pole. And so essentially, we are not just magnetic, we are electromagnetic. And so as electromagnetic beings, we have to study the laws of magnetism and electromagnetism. And that will help us in terms of how we exercise the neuro-linguistic devil spell that has been cast upon I and I by virtue of language, religion, socialization, and the other trappings of the system and the so-called culture.
Yes. Balance out the thing, says Tamar Case Dixon, as you talk about hormones in so we have to balance the hormones that exist in male have female, female have male hormones, but we have to make an effort to balance out the thing. So Tamar Case Dixon is saying, balance it out, Yasus. Yes. Balance out the thing.
Look, they can't fool with for too long. You think we people like that? You can. Me have a cousin. We can't. If you write in name and dump in a bull and yam that, and they even know where him just do a while ago. But me I tell you, so the man more educated than enough professor when me reason with.
Because that's a natural thing for him.
Yeah, with them thing they know with DNA, man. Even if they hide it from school, man, they can't hide it from the inspiration and the intuition of the Almighty. We're making a way. You know me, I say we come forward with a hard drive. Hello. We come forward with a hard drive. Listen, let me share something with you as a woman too, in that judgment. Enough science they work on we, because hear this now. If you overstand gravitational pull and they make the woman lie down on her back and give birth, a bad something that them do,
Talk to us.
Well, let me say this now. Okay. There are two forces that maintain equilibrium: centripetal forces and centrifugal forces. Centripetal forces act towards the center, as centripetal forces act towards the center. Centrifugal forces act from the center. And when those two forces are balanced, if they are balanced, they maintain equilibrium. You have different states of equilibrium. You have stable equilibrium, which is more desirable, but you have different states of equilibrium. Okay. No. This thing which we're talking about now in terms of balancing out the thing, is as electromagnetic fields. And speaking about to the birth of the woman now, the force that comes down towards the center, it is the gravitational force that you will learn about in school. Okay.
Yeah.
Them don't teach about this, the force that emanates from the center to create that balance, but it is also there. If you understand the law, relativity, and equal and opposites, you will grasp that easily. Okay. So when the force of gravity acts downwards, but the woman lie on her back, she is pushing perpendicular to the gravitational force.
Yes.
So the gravitational force go across the lines of the electromagnetism of the mother and child.
Yes.
And look here, a basic physics, them,
Yes.
a basic engineering principles.
Yes.
And we should apply it to social engineering and bioengineering. So all right, so that's the first thing. So first of all, she just stoop down and quack down like when she's passing urine.
Yeah.
The other thing now, listen to me now carefully. I won't be long enough, but listen to me carefully. If you, this is a simple experiment, what you can do in the kitchen, if you feel safe enough. But if you get a glass and keep ice in it for 5 minutes, then you quickly pour out the ice and throw hot water into that glass. It shatters the glass. And if you reverse the procedure, it shatters the glass as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Here another thing now. If you're in the dark room, especially when we're at high school, developing photographs, if you leave the dark room and come into the sunlight, it's almost like them put stick pins in the eye. There's a phenomenon known as relapse, which is the drastic change between hot and cold. Now, when you're traveling in your mother's time capsule for 9 months, and then you're cut from your placenta suddenly, you're not different, you shatter your memory cells just like you do to the glass and the other things I've just alluded to. So you should at least stay on it for at least 35 minutes. Or, as Moses' mother did, carry it around in a basket for 4 days.
Yeah.
So hear this now. From did so them start violate the thing and shift up the thing and kill out the brain cells them, So we have to reverse the thing now by going in ourselves, going in our history, going in the indigenous traditions, re-embrace everything, because a marriage of the best of the ancient with the best of contemporary. And so even if you own a spacecraft, don't sell your donkey.
Yeah. Yes. This is serious thing happening here, because I came upon this brother who, during his wife giving birth to their son, the placenta you speak of, it is not removed at birth, and she has it there, and the baby is still attached to it for a few days, well, about 5 days.
By 4 days, in most cases, by 4 days, it's crystallized and wither off and pretty like a button.
And would you believe the kind of reaction people just are given a quarrel, and I say, but that's not safe. And so when me hear you say this now, me say, look at that. People don't understand that this that you speak of is the right way to do things, and not what we have come to learn.
Right. Well, I say in this 21st century still, my sister, it is as important to learn as to unlearn, because we are a people who have been brainwashed and reprogrammed and predictably programmed, and there are preset triggers within the system. And so, we have to understand that. Don't forget, when we talk about neuro-linguistic mastery, we have to remind ourselves that you think in the language that you speak, and the language that you speak shape and dictate your thinking. So, language is
the programming, yes.
Sorry?
How do we escape the programming?
That me I try to tell you, Well, let's find another way of explaining it then. Okay. You see, all right, if you go to physics, right? And since we are electromagnets and magnets, there are methods of magnetizing a non-magnetic material or demagnetizing a magnetic material. So these things that we are talking about, it may be sound slow and one cocoa-ish, but they are important. So make we start giving the children names. That means to say make we start plant different spirits inside of them than the old colonial dopey spirit them where we are put and we pick them. It's an act that we can do. It's an act that you can do to yourself. You know what I mean? And and you can redeem yourself from this Strawman phenomenon. Go Google this Strawman. We can't the time to go into that, you know. But go Google that, and so take off the rapist name after you, or the stock control name after you, where them get, and start give children names that are more honorable, and start teaching about themselves, and start giving proper birth to the children, and start renaming the places, and start doing things a little bit differently, and stop run down Babylon, poison, and illusion, and follow them pace and set your own pace, and start aligning ourselves with Mama Africa, and start recalibrate and reset yourself with our authentic indigenous self. We have to go read like Marcus Garvey said, and who understand the past. And so once you understand your past, you understand your context, and context determine your definition and purpose. Remember that every word is defined by the context in which it is used. And so it is that our definition and validation must be within the context of our history and who we are as a people.
Right. I asked you the question because while we discuss, we want people to understand tiny steps that they can take. When I ask how we escape the programming, it is for persons to understand that something as simple as giving your child a name with a positive meaning is a step in the right direction. So people understanding, or as we say, overstand how we can even be cocoa-ish.
Yes, one cocoa with the bottle. And come off of the blood and starch. We don't tell you this the blood and starch. Do the similar thing, and you can do the reading of yourself and listen to the doctor them and read some book and realize it for yourself. Because you see, no one of them call it a diet. You want a diet so that you live it. That's a contradiction. And so if you come out for the blood and starch, because the blood and starch put on dead weight per week.
And when you refer to blood and starch now, for the ones who don't understand what blood and starch is, tell them what it is.
The whole heap of dead flesh where them eat, and most of the dead flesh where them eat are strangulated flesh, and the proper prayers are not said over it, and the proper disposal of the blood is not considered, and the kitchen is not the proper temple the proper altar that it used to be. And so, well, I mean, I don't know if it's, and so you see, we're not doing the proper things like royal angels. We are doing things like imps and demons. And so even the words that we answer to and that we subscribe to are impish words that cast a mental evil spell upon us. You know, I mean, let me share something quickly with you. Let us look at the word oppress, right? People must understand the relationship between lightning and thunder, as well as the relationship between the audio and the visual. And so if you look at the word oppress is a juxtaposition of two concepts. Up and press. Up is anti-gravity. Press is the application of a force. Okay. So your enemy oppresses you. So subliminally, you are programmed to think that your enemy is lifting you up. So by association and by opposites, your own people that uplift you, they are the one that don't press you. So you end up love your enemy and hate yourself and hate your own people. It's neurolinguistic sorcery. Excuse me, I'm not using words because I love use words and I can't use words. You know, people, if me attack foolishness, I don't love it tell me that foolishness me attack. You know, but if you look into what me I try to say, there's a mass of sense in it. You know, I mean,
deep sense.
You know.
It is deep sense. Hold on, it is deep sense because when you talk about blood and starch, I once saw a truck. It was a chicken truck. I was in Kingston. And they have all of these chickens in the truck, and they look like the chicken them know say I kill them, you know. And you see those chickens them flying up. And I say, imagine when I realized when I went to the place in myself, and I say, oh gosh, another thing I looked at and I witnessed and I stopped and think many times. My father and you know people like him would have killed pig and so. And one day they were slaughtering a pig. And after them pour the hot water upon the pig and scrape him. And the pig get up when half side I am scrape. In bawling out. And I'm saying that energy, you talk about blood and starch, that meat is what people consume. That pig was traumatized.
Stick up in, my sister. Stick up in. When you're angry, When you're sexually aroused, when you're happy, your body produce corresponding hormones and chemicals. The animals are no different. So you're talking about the energy that you have just alluded to. You're talking about the chemical metabolism and the metabolic changes, the hormonal changes, and you're consuming that energy and those chemicals and those hormones. So no wonder we are in the situation that we are in. But let me say something else to you. Even for the vegetarian and the vegans, the plants have sense and memory and feelings, and they have a language as well, do you know? So when we're talking about the altar of the kitchen and even the altar of the garden, you're supposed to go to the plant, and tell them howdy, and
Yes.
tell them, say,
Talk to them.
you need this food for your family, and
Yeah.
you know that you look after them, so they know that you're
Yeah.
entitled to some benefit, but you don't want to take them for granted. So you offer proper prayers and thank you and gratitude and permission, and you
Yeah.
don't want to violate them. So you ask them permission, and when you feel in the spirit that it is given, because the fruit is ripe, so those are indicators, then
Yeah.
then you could use it as well. So in some simple things that sound like madness, we need to start shed off the evil spell and put on the proper spell. So, for example, look here now. If you work in a factory, right, especially a processing plant, when you're locking down the factory to go home at night, you don't pull up the conveyor belt of different things for work, and you're not going to monitor it. But why? So why then put on so much food by the conveyor belt at night when we are going to bed?
Yeah.
All them things they will reverse.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense. We can't just look here. We can't go like one follow with enemy blindly, because we enemy are not smarty, and we enemy are good, and we enemy are dopey, and we enemy doing so much wrongs for 600 years and more. And then we are running behind them. It's like somebody coming to your house and violate your daughter, and when they come back to your house, instead you bust them head and call the police. You did your
offer
red
them food,
charges for them. You
Yeah.
understand what I say? So what kind of contradiction and insult that? You know what I mean? So we have to start putting love where we own reality there, and start do the things that are more intrinsic and natural and in our best interest. And we have to go start decolonize ourselves by the names we call ourselves on the street, any opportunity we get. The government can't do better because them a puppet. So the government maintain these institutions and these names to constantly bombard us with the energy and the spell of the demonic possession that represent the genocide and the colonization and the neuro-linguistic sorcery. So we have to start exorcise the evil spirit in all the words and the institutions and the names that we subscribe to.
Yeah.
And the methodology. So we talk about the blood by the meat and how them strangle it and traumatize it, and then you consume it. But we are talking about the starch, too much starch food. When you're on the plantation, maybe you need more starch if you do the hard labor. But if you're sitting in the office and now burn off them starch, you can't eat so much starch, you have to moderate that. So if you look at the so-called, as you look at the diet, which it is rightly called.
Diet.
Yeah. And if you the whole heap of grave E, so they mark the grave the name E. And all this, and so when you turn your belly in a cemetery, you must know where you are do. Because you
Reminds
practice
me of the
diet.
point. Be careful how you put in your teeth.
Exactly. So we are trying hard with the people from the last 30 years to kind of share some things of empowerment with them, So I'm not new.
Yes. And people are just so agreeing with you. Yes, in everything, the HU, HU-MAAN, the human should ask permission before partaking. That's Donna Love again, She a
So
fire.
Donna Love, oh yeah, go on, someone. Which one Donna Love there again?
She's in, I think it's New York. She's in the US.
Bless up your royal self, Donna Love.
She a fire. And Tamar Case Dixon is saying every time she come to school, she learns from you. Tamar Case Dixon, she's in Trelawney, somewhere in Albertown, I suppose, in the cockpit country.
All right.
Thank you, Rasta Redemption. So people are really, really agreeing with you. Dania Mandison, we first must open to learning and challenging the norm.
Yes.
The reason we don't hear it very often, And sometimes the educated will say, "Cha, foolish." Understand. If we want to apologize for that break just a while ago. You know how it is. Flow. We're flowing here. Yes, it's you and I. We are talking and the
Yeah.
energy is flowing. But guess what? More bring you forward to something that I read earlier when I was preparing for the program. It has to do with you though,
Yeah.
where it refers to Yassus, a Dub J, a fresh new style coming out of Jamaica by the original Dub J Yassus, Afari, with his brand new Dub J. His song entitled, well, we heard the song earlier, Golden Spoon Maroon, but I wanted a little clarity on the terminology Dub J, because it's not, I don't think it's quite known. People hear about Sing J, people hear about Dub Poet, but for the Dub J, tell me a little quickly where that came from.
Right, quickly, so we can't get the full gut and all of it. But
But uncle.
where that come from now, my sister, is the fact say, all right, VP Records put out that song, you know, and it was produced by Top Road Music, the virgin called Jack Emis. Okay. So when them hear, they were in tune to Plain and Simple even before they approached me to record for them. And so the styling, Plain and Simple, as well as many of my other works, even Hygiene and Put It In and so on. But they were saying, well, that style they a bit different. It's almost like it is not even dub poetry.
Yeah.
And so one time ago when I was with Rush Records, they were trying to market me as a DJ. And I told you a story one time we were talking about Dave Kelly wanted to brand me as a DJ and market me as Shabba when we were recording work for him. And so they were always
a little low. We're not seeing you again so much. You were a little higher with us earlier.
Can I tell you something? I want a long story about me, Kevin, but I tell you no, but you know me, I start it out. But look here now. So the idea came from my style, which defies definition. Defies definition of what is traditionally called dub poetry or poetry or even DJing or singing. So, you know, I mean, Sister Cecilia Legister called me the Dub King one time, and we were having a conversation around that. And I don't remember if it's she or me said Dub J, and them say, yo, and then now when these people hear the idea the other day when we were talking between VP and Top Road Music, they decided that Dub J would be a good way to describe your style. And I said, well, I don't have no problem with it, you know, me don't even mind. Whatever they want to call it, it no matter, because we keep defying definitions, you know what I mean? So it comes from, I think, the style of delivery. As my poetry and my delivery is more concerned with melodies and musical structures, maybe more so than some of the typical poets. And so if the flow and the groove and the melodies that I employ from song to song sound almost delicately poised between dub poetry and DJ and sing Jane. So some say dub Jane. Recently, my virgin say is what? Dub song. so the debate continues, you know.
Dub J and dub song.
So me no mind, you know, because you see, yeah, we the thing is dynamic and it is evolving. So you know, people are gonna try to describe it in different ways. So that song came out. That song, Golden Spoon Maroon, came out on the 29th of October. It is doing very well. From Africa to America, it is getting attention here in Jamaica as well. And it is available. It is available through VP Records, but it is on all digital platforms, from YouTube to Spotify to Apple to you name it. Anywhere you go, one thing VP did a good job with that. Plain and Simple is available worldwide on all digital platforms through Zojak worldwide. And these two songs are from my 2022 album.
Go ahead.
That is likely to come out on VP Records.
Okay. We all are gonna need you, Maroon. We all soon need you, Maroon. Why we all are gonna need the Maroon? Tell me the importance of wanting to need the Maroons, or the importance of needing the Maroons soon.
All right, may I give you a quick answer and then maybe elaborate a bit. We are gonna need help to flush out the Trojan horse out of the cockpit. Trojan horse and a certain way move easily. and it all take effort. And based on the Maroon history and struggles and knowledge, and at them alone, you know, we're going to need the Tahina, we're going to need the Rasta, we're going to need the Poco, the Revivalists, anyone who have an Afrocentric vision and a value of themselves, and know that we cannot be raped and violated and treated like chattels anymore. We all will be called upon. But I'm thinking that the Maroons, based on their history and knowledge and access and positioning, we are now being called upon, not will be anymore, are now being called upon to reassert and to harmonize and unify the community along the lines of our shared African identity, to flush out the Trojan horse wherever it exists, in the cockpit country, in ourselves, in the colonial institutions such as the parliament, the language, the educational institution, the foreign policy, the economic policy. We need to decolonize the army, the church, the religions, the parliament, the police force, the police force. So we have a whole heap of work to do, and we are being lulled into a state of false insecurity. And so we need to come out of that state of false insecurity.
As you speak of, we all need the Maroon because of their positioning and so on. Much have been said about the Maroons in Jamaica and how the Maroon did sell way out, and you know, what is your take? If you don't have to say everything, but that kind of thing where we hear where people kind of slight the Maroon somewhat.
It don't make no sense to me still, you know. Here why it don't make no sense to me. You slight the Maroon, but you still hug up the Prime Minister and the Governor General and the leader of the opposition. That makes sense to you? Them not sell out the struggle too. Them would have sell it out more than the Maroon. So none of we are perfect, and we all make mistakes. And the enemy is a trickster, and him not normal, and him army big, and him powerful, and him have more political muscle and money. So me know say the Maroon never get the best hand, and that is reflected in the relationship between Kojo and Nani and their respective relation to the so-called treaty and the blood oath. And so we know, so up to this day, you know, we've been divided to be ruled and to be conquered. So we have to put away the differences. We make mistakes, which are not perfect. All of we make mistakes, and all of we now have the opportunity in our own shared interests and shared destiny to reconcile and look about the thing and shuffle and deal out a different hand and move forward, if not even in uniformity, in unity in our plurality and our diversity. So people who want to say them things, they distract them, are distracted because them still have what church where this pastor spit up on you and talk all kind of something when I really go so, and I live a double standard and a lie, and I want to worship a white God and a white blue-eyed Jesus with Maya Angelou paint. And the Governor General and Prime Minister friend them and the parliamentarians from two sides of the fence. Yes, still subscribe to the institution and the personalities that maintain the genocidal system. So therefore, why we can't go sit and reason with them around them and work it out in our own interest? And madness that we don't have the time for them destruction. We have to heal amongst our own people. We don't reach yet. So we still have to learn from the mistake and learn from the best practice and take a new opportunity to create a formula that works for us. And so we have to start a system of consultation, you know, consensus building through community consultation. We have to start reason. Take out back the chalice again and clean it up. Even if a man have to have your own chalice, or this a chalice not to be no ganja, because you know if you smoke no ganja neither. A chalice is the reasoning, the cup of reasoning. We have to start pass the cup of reasoning amongst ourselves. Not discussing, you know. Not dissing and cussing, you know. Reasoning.
Yeah. Reasoning. So that healing that is also needed. Now it's time for us to come together, as Tamar is saying. Chant, my brother, chant. Maroons are not sellouts. We need to understand and interpret our history. That is Tamar Case Dixon from the cockpit country. She's in the cockpit country, deep in the cockpit country. So
let's up the warrior cells cockpit country, all over Jamaica, all over the world, all in Suriname, in everywhere in the day, because as we are saying, Well, I mean, I don't know if you say it, but because look here now.
Just say
When,
it.
when the so-called independence thing did sign, you can also say people them did blind. If you look at the Lancaster Agreement, and if you psychoanalyze the videotape of Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley, you don't want to insult them through them claims to them a hero. But you would wonder if they man they a hero or them a traitor. Me not say them a traitor, me not say them a hero, me not say them a traitor, me not say them a hero. But we need to look at the Lancaster Agreement and make up our mind. Because that was a big time sellout, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating. What happened in 1963 in April to the Rasta community, fresh after the Lancaster Agreement, shows that these people never have the genuine Jamaican people at heart.
At every instant, them sell out.
Yeah, and up to the day, the same thing happened in the Parliament.
Yeah.
Where they worship the iron god with they carry upon their shoulder.
Yeah. Yes. It was just a few months ago we were talking about the prayer that is prayed in Parliament. A lot of people.
Pray for God save the Queen. Me not say you better you ask God to get rid of the Queen and make we get through our own Queen than you talk about God save the Queen. That are the English people if you do that. We don't want God save no Queen.
Yeah.
If this Queen want to save this Queen should have shown greater respect. Look what them do to the Windrush generation after they trick the people and carry them upon so-called Windrush generation, Empire Windrush. And have the people them up to their treat so very bad. And cuss them and talk about no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. Look what an audacity. I remember say we teach these people humanity and hygiene, you know. So
that is for another matter.
Listen, me not try to cuss nobody or insult nobody, but when me come to talk my truth or my people, me not look for no enemy. I mean, cannot be intimidated, you know.
Yeah. Yes, so
anytime I say something wrong, I'll be like a child to apologize and to change my speech. But I've done due diligence. I'm a world traveler as well too, you know. Me go many parliaments in the world. No politician in Jamaica go there the amount of parliament me go in the world. You know. And me no love politicians. I'm struggling, I'm people me I defend and I try to fulfill my purpose when me think say me have and know say me have to.
So your view would have been influenced and shaped by all of that which you have been exposed to.
Then you're a product of your environment, man. We can help you and better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, so far, right? Represent the immortal vision of the ancient future. The ancient future. Because one would think that ancient is in the past, right? And Yassos represents the immortal vision of the ancient future. Explain to ones who have a question mark right now. Ancient future?
All right. Yesterday, today was tomorrow. And tomorrow, today becomes yesterday. That which was is that which is, and that which is to be. Life is cyclic. You start from nothing, which is really not 10, the unqualified state of everything. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you go to 9, you go back to 0, which them call 10. And 11 is 1 and 12 is 2. And when you go to 20, you start the whole thing again. It's just the levels that you carry on. So, you know what I mean? In terms of the immortal vision, remember, so we are immortal people. Energy cannot be created and cannot be destroyed, but can be transformed from one state of existence to the next. And we are capsules of energy. So we now claim something that all of us not have. But we know really business with all of us. I have to talk to myself. Because every time I sit down for the own bottom. So me no one knows and I assert my immortality on the basis of my understanding, on the basis of science, on the basis of theology, on the basis of ethnography and archaeology and anthropology and spiritual science and technology. You know what I mean? That there is something called spiritual science and technology. You know? And so we are writing about that even now as we speak as well. So what I'm saying, you know, our vision is not like a new vision. Our thing is not a new thing. It's that which was. And we carry it with we because we not left it. And even if it was embedded in us, and even if people put it under attack and it go hide in some part of our cells, we excavate them now and take them out and shine them out and put them out, make them do them work. So you know, so the ancient of the ancient future. And so remember, say yesterday, today was tomorrow, yesterday, and that which was, that which is, and that which is to be, and life is cyclic. So was it in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So we are just harmonizing the best of our anciency with the best of our contemporary reality, and have that as something that is sustainable. So we're learning from the mistake and the pitfalls of the future, and we marry them with the best practice. And the ones that produce the results. So we find something that is sustainable. And I describe that sustainability as, here's another paradox, as kinetic inertia.
Kinetic inertia.
Yeah.
Okay, you're full of paradox. Tamar K6 is saying, I feel inspired to carry on. Amanda. So that is what you have caused with Tamar this evening. Yes, you travel the world and you're going to schools. I want you to talk to me quickly about the kind of response that when you're going to schools and you let off this kind of energy and this kind of emotion, and this, as a philosopher, how are you received by students across the world?
It's matchless. You can't talk about. You'd have to experience it. And one time you challenge me, I think, on social media about something. Or, maybe you don't fully understand what I want, because even when we do, I am treated like a spoiled child. Because you're not even supposed to photograph ethnic minorities in the first place. And oftentimes, what says videotape, and oftentimes I'm allowed to, because of just the energy and the vibe and the confidence and the credibility. And so it's hard to explain, because even today I was doing an interview earlier with the University of the West Indies, Fair Scottish University, and I was speaking to some of the works that I've been doing in Wales and Scotland as well. And even when I was doing a residency at the City College in Birmingham, I had workshops for up to a group with up to 19 linguistic variations, and oftentimes English is the fourth language, not even second or third. And I was even studied by Bangor University in how I articulate how to tell stories with such a disaffected and detached demographic, with such linguistic and social and cultural and racial and ethnic plurality and variation. And how I explain that to them is that I reason not in terms of literal, like you do in a literal translation, word to word, you won't get the essence. I do a conceptual translation. So I impart things in universal concepts, or concepts, which resonate with every human being who have even basic level of intelligence.
Yes.
And so that is indicative of my reception that I've gotten in Wales, in Scotland, in England, in Denmark, in Belgium, in Ghana, in Gambia, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Japan, in Barbados. It's a thing, and it's always resonate the same. And one other institution that I do a lot of work in that most people maybe don't even know are the prisons as well. And so, I'm not sure still, and the relationship with me and my daughters, and especially Micaiah, the relationship that we have, I think it kind of almost shows there's a technique I have with the youth, whereby when we go in our workshops with the youth in our school, or even at the white people country, we sit down on the floor and cross my leg with them, I mean, I want nobody introduce me as Mr. Me reason with them almost like I am a child, even though I'm not a child by any stretch. But me reason with them like we can relate to them, and even when I go in the prisons, them study my work in the prisons too, in the so-called prisons, me relate to them like them a dignified human being, and we don't call them even prisoners. They are incarcerated, and we show them how they can transcend the barbed wire fences around them, and how even the prison officers themselves have to become prisoners in order to imprison them, and so they can rise above that and come look for them at prison same way, and transcend. Even if them touch you physically, don't make them touch you mentally, and if them touch you mentally, by all means at your disposal, don't make them touch you spiritually.
That kind of reach that you have, Yasus, is that kind of reach affected now with Wagwan?
Maybe yes, but look here, the more things change, the more they remain the same. And we say no retreat, no surrender. If you look at what we did with Poetry in Motion, now running for 19 years, the 19th annual staging is on Sunday, February 27th. Jamaica Poetry Festival, what we did with that, the 12th annual staging is on Sunday, August 14th. We do the skill set transfer. I'm not the most competent IT person, but me get help and the farmer team, and we were able to continue those virtually. And in harmony with that approach and that level of adaptability, we have gotten a lot of traction in terms of doing virtual events online in different ways. And so we have been still able to do some of those work, just like how we stage event, we stage some of the workshops online. And that is increasing. I won't name the country yet, but I'm currently negotiating at the highest level with a country to do a 1-year residency of virtual workshop in their country. You know what I mean? And we're currently waiting on the Welsh government to do another project. I've done a lot of projects with the Welsh government. And so we just completed one called Building Bridges that was supported by the Welsh government, as well as Richard Pennant Heritage Trust, as well as Ronald Reed Foundation Trust. And so
what kind of bridges are you proposing to build?
Friendship using poetry. So what we did, for example, we had an anthology called Building Bridges, which we did with a school in Hanover called Cocoon, and a corresponding school in Wolverhampton called Uplands Junior High. And so I did workshops in both schools and excavated these children's emotions through poetry. And we chronicled those poems in an anthology called Building Bridges. So we are duplicating that success story for Pennants in Clarendon and some schools in the Ogwen Valley, Bethesda, and Bangor area in Wales.
Wow. Wow. We have been talking for almost 2 hours, and I would just sit here and just listen to you, not asking no question, just listen.
Wow, you are so kind. You're waxing kind and generous, Beth.
It is school not only for the people who are online, but school for me right here. Yasus is deeply rooted in his Rastafarian beliefs. As
they should update that. It past belief, and knowledge.
Knowledge.
Can I intervene here, so, Bev?
Yes, man.
We are the neuro-linguistic practitioners, So you say knowledge, especially to all the Rasta people out there. Knowledge, we spell it Knowlij. And you can spell it Lidj because they have male and female variations of these words. So knowledge, we are baptized them word and bring it closer to home. So if you know His and Her Imperial Majesty, if you know the Yin Yang principle, if you know the male and female virtues and attributes, that is what the knowledge is. We're not talking about know how to fix one car, even though that is important. We're talking about how to maintain the temple and maintain Mother Earth and maintain your relationships and maintain your relationship with the ancestors. And maintain the relationship with the born and the unborn.
The ancestors.
Yeah.
The ancestors. It is 4 minutes to 8 o'clock, I believe.
Me look on the watch and it look like say at the time for you.
So I believe we know according to the time frame that we have
within them frame,
within the frame of their time.
Yes, thank you.
It is 4 minutes to 8. But I'm not even going to call it end because we are going to talk again.
No, there's no end, and we'll continue in your mind. And the people them wrong to go listen to me. You know what happened here, so? People, don't feel no way. You who have been in my audience,
yes,
you have been the beneficiary of positive psychic imprinting.
Here now, you know what time it is in London now? It's 8 o'clock now, and they're 5 hours ahead, right?
Yeah, but about 1 o'clock also.
Rosalie is in London, right? Rosalie Chung. And Rosalie said,
Rosie Chung? Rosie Chung?
I don't know if you're Rosie Chung, Rosalie Chung. We need men like him to govern the island of Jamaica.
Stone. My Andrew is here talk like that. But look here, we need our people to come to Rosie talk sense because we need our people to just gather together, one cocoa full basket, and just put. We're not We go to school same way too, you know. Them not go no school where we not go. Maybe we go to school where them not go. Because them refuse to go to the university even when they go to the university.
Yeah.
I go to colleges and universities, and we go to the university same way. So we have one step ahead of them. So if we really rally together and put the team together, it certainly can be done. And as a matter of fact, it shall be done.
It shall be done. My brethren, my spirit is lifted up higher. That is Tamar saying that. And Donna Love, we need a continuation of this reasoning session, Rasta.
All right, can I say something? Well, you can talk to Bev Moonchild and Fit FM and Julia and his whole staff there. But however, people have been pressuring me, and I've been working on something called the Reasoning Temple, inspired by the Melanin Temple. I'm locked into. I can't my brethren Firewire in Cincinnati. We into dialoguing. We dialogue and log into the omnipotent, the omniscient, and omnipresent. And so we want to use the Melanin Temple now to reset, realign, and recalibrate I and I people to the authentic spirituality, which is the original blueprint that connects us one to each other, to the universe and to the source of our existence. So the Reasoning Temple would be a method of like a tuning instrument, like when or a tuning instrument, like when you tune an instrument, or when you calibrate a watch or any instrument, or when you align the front end by your vehicle. So people can listen out and look out for that. But certainly, Fit we have a fit. So if Fit FM want us to come in forward, especially I have been equally inspired, like Donna Love and the others.
And Tamar Case Dixon, yes.
Exactly. So you know, we this is like a mental intercourse. And so, you know, it is. We are comprised of cells, you know, so we are cell towers. So we can use the cell tower to generate telepathic and intuitive vibration to the four corners of the earth. We set at a certain time. Let us say we set a time 6 a.m., 6 a.m., midday, 6 p.m. and 12 midnight. We shake down Babylon in a 60 minutes.
Because all of us coming together at that time with energy.
And how would you say it? And then I love this say that we are electromagnetic beings and we are human satellites. Remember, so listen, when they call the digital them cell tower, remember, so we are made up of cells, you know, and we are the original cell tower.
Cell tower, yes.
So if we ever align and put in our circuit the cell tower at designated time, we shake out every satellite out of the we shake out every satellite out of the Van Allen belt.
You know, that me know, yes, and that me know, and that is why there is this thing about gathering. We have to come together, because once the people who have that kind of energy and that kind of vibration come together, we shake down Babylon in truth.
Yeah, but we can't, Bev, let me cut you here, so we can't circumvent that, you know. People, take out your pen and your paper, or your digital pen and paper. Me go share something with the item now, quickly. It won't be long because it was a time ago.
Yes, so 1 minute we have.
Read up on quantum physics, quantum entanglement, quantum domain, quantum biology, and then put that within the context of transhumanism, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things.
Yes, man.
And then at the hour of the day we live in right now.
Yes, Safari. Indeed, you're a philosopher. And one of Jamaica's treasure, them say. And I would also agree with that. It has been an awesome evening, an evening of intelligence, an evening of words, an evening of reasoning, an evening of understanding, an evening of listening, an evening of vibration, an evening just a look on you and I don't know what to access it. It is all of that. An evening of people tuning in and really talking back with us, because we like the feedback. We like hear people who listen and what them say. Once a month, somebody said we have to really talk about this because the time is right. And we know that the time is when we make the time right? And yes, I want to big you up, I want to thank you, I want to tell you how much we appreciate you saying yes, first of all, agreeing to come on and to actually take us through 2 hours without even realizing there are 2 hours. Bless
Well,
up, no?
my sister, we give thanks. It's an absolute honor for me. The honor is mine, and if the honor is shared, then it is reciprocal. And so I'm equally honored and equally inspired, and it was a pleasure. And thanks for having me, and thanks for your listeners for being so tuned in and for reciprocating in this mental intercourse, and for equally informing and inspiring and reaffirming with us. So it just reminds us that we have hope and that we are, confident in the victory of good over evil. We shall overcome. As a matter of fact, it's not like we shall overcome. We are overcoming.
We are overcoming.
So let us keep overcoming. Honor, love, and prosperity. One earth, one love, one humanity. Fit FM, Bev Moonchild, Yasa Rastafari, bless it and set it.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple. So
give thanks, my brother. Sound their big. Thanks everybody for joining. We come back next week, all being well. All the people who came on Facebook and all the people who spoke with us. Anthony D, so you come to church when Doxology sing. When church over, Anthony D, and now you are joining us from Philadelphia. But you can go back and watch the show on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, friends. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Have a blessed one. We come back next week. Bev Moonchild signing out. Thank you, Julia, as usual. All the very best. Give thanks.
Thank you, Julia, as well.
Some of them are hide. Some are plant the bliss up in the great river Clyde. As them slip, so them slide. Watch how them collide. Them a fall out of love through them in a false pride. Maroon with the golden spoon.